Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for your attention. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the logbook. Right. I'm doing a little update video, and this video really focuses on how rubbish the system is for car dealers and how violated you feel buying and selling cars with the general public. So, as a rule, let's just get it out there. 80% of my customers, I'd say, are really, really sound. In fact, most of them, 100% of my customers are sound. 20% of them are sound until they're not sound. So we've got a couple of issues going on at the moment. I've just been going through my figures for the year to see where we're at. So personally, I've been doing this job for 5 years now, or had it as a business for 5 years. And overall, I can't grumble. It's going okay. However, people seem to think when they walk into a car dealership, they'll go, "Ooh, look at all these fancy cars, and this guy's got a bar. Bloody hell, what do you drive, mate? Ooh, a Lamborghini." You know, people have got this impression when they come in here that everything's going swimmingly well because we're surrounded by a lot of very nice metal. Now, it's not the case. Some months in this job are mega, and I'm looking at the figures going, bloody hell, we did that in a month? And some months are pretty terrible. Some months are average. At the moment, we're having a pretty decent run. Personally, my position is I've been living in a flat for the last 5 years, not taking any money out of the business for the last 5 years, pretty much, just a very small income. And I'm now in a position where I have just bought a house. Hooray! Well, I haven't bought it, I've made an offer on it, and I really, really need to start cashing some chips in and thinking about how I'm going to get this right to be able to move. So anyway, that's by the by. The issues that I've got at the moment are all to do with customers having my leg up, or I feel like customers are having my leg up. So let's go through a couple of the issues. So first of all, we've got an Audi RS6, beautiful car. I bought it off a guy on TikTok, which is probably the start of a bad story, but actually he's a really nice bloke. Came across really well. The car is modified, it's 675 horsepower, absolute weapon of a thing. I drove it for a couple of days. Arguably too quick for the British roads. However, I enjoyed it. Poppy bangy everywhere, look how cool I am. So we've sold that car to a bloke, a northern bloke, what's he called now? And I don't want to say his name, it's not fair. A guy from a bit further up north from us. Came across at the weekend and he test drove the RS6 and the GTR that we've got in stock at the moment as well to see which one he preferred. Now, he was coming from an RS5, which we've now got as a part exchange, and he was asking me what my opinion was. Now, he came over with his wife and his daughter, and they were both saying, buy the GTR's cooler, and I would agree the GTR is a cooler car. And actually, value-wise, they appear to be having a better run than the RS6s will do. However, I've had the GTR in for about 3 months now. It is a car that could probably do with going sooner rather than later. Get to 3 months, you're going, come on, we need to get rid of this car. RS6 has only been live for a week. So the greedy gremlin, the car salesman in you is going, stick him into the GTR, get it gone, move on. However, I was honest with the bloke and I said, look, if it was me and my money, genuinely, I'd probably buy the RS6 because it is a better all-rounder as a car. It's an Avant, and you get all your kids in, dogs in, everything in, and still do 200 miles an hour, or whatever. Anyway, so he's bought the RS6. That car was totally fine when it left me, totally fine. The guy who sold it to me drove 200 miles in it to get here. I've probably done 100 miles in it over the couple of days that I took it out for, and I tested it properly. Believe me, I tested that car properly. Sold the car to him, he's taking it away at the weekend. I get a text message through on a Sunday at 3 o'clock when you can do absolutely sod all about anything. Robert, you ever had any problems with this RS6 because it won't start? So that's now on his driveway. I need to ring him later on today, so that's one of the issues. Now, can I just put this into perspective here? I'm looking through my numbers for the year. So our tax year is from March to March. So we've got March, April, May, June, pretty much July now. 5 months. £86,402 is how much I have spent on prepping cars. So tyres, disc pads, servicing, issues, electrical work, etc., etc. Does include the running costs as well. So you've got electric in here, rent, all that sort of stuff. Hell of a lot of money. Anyway, it would appear it doesn't matter how much you spend. So I've got this RS6 to deal with at the minute. That's not the big problem. I've sold a BMW X6M, beautiful car, really nice service history, really nice condition, really nice colour, really nice spec. Sold it to a really nice bloke down in Oxford. That car, when I bought it, got driven from Peterborough up here by Tony, who does the driving. It's been driven by me for a week. It's been in for an MOT. It's had a service, had everything done on it. The guy who bought it off checked it. He was another dealer. Absolutely fine, that car, on the button. Tony then drove it back down to Oxford to sell it to this bloke. He had a part exchange, which was a Porsche Cayenne, which I didn't really want, but I thought we've had the X6 in for a while now. The only inquiries we're getting on that car are people who want finance and you wouldn't lend him your pen. So let's do the deal. Did him a good deal on the car, did a good deal on his car. Tony drives his car off his drive and the engine light goes immediately. So Tony turns around, brings it back up to the customer, says, look, I'm not being funny, but Rob's going to have a bit of a problem if I bring this back with an engine light on. We need to discuss this before I leave. Tony rings me, get the customer on the phone. Basically, the customer says, look, I'll pay for it, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure it's an airflow sensor. Bit odd that he knows that. But I'll pay it. It'll be 300 or 400 quid. I'll sort it out. Now, my thoughts at the time were, we've been trying to sell the X6 for a while now. We've done okay on it. We've made a couple of grand. It's not a massive margin. However, it gets it gone. The KM, we could probably do a couple of hundred quid on into trade. Let's not ruin the deal. If he turns out he's not going to pay, I'm 300 or 400 quid out of pocket, assuming that's what the issue is. So anyway, Tony then brings the car back up here. Tony sets off. Half an hour later, the customer then rings me. Rob, I've just set off from the petrol station. The engine light's come on this X6. Oh, I said, okay. It appears we're both having problems today. Why don't you take it into someone that you trust, someone that's local, get it, find out what the problem is, and I'll sort it. I'll put it right. And that is genuinely what I do in any situation anyway. You kind of have to do it, whether you morally think you should do it or not. As a business, that's something that you should have to do. Thinking, oh, for God's sake. Anyway, the phone went quiet for a couple of weeks with this bloke. I thought, okay, I wonder if he's taken it in somewhere, had it fixed, it was a couple of hundred quid, and he's thought, don't worry about it. Rob will pick up the bill on the Porsche, I'll pick up the bill on the X6. So I kind of thought, naively, it's all gone quiet, we're all moving on with our lives. I then get an email. He's only taken it to BMW. Jesus Christ. And what they've done is, rather than just look at the price to diagnose the engine management light and what it's coming on for and repair the problem, he's had a bumper-to-bumper inspection done on a 10-year-old car that's done 72,000 miles. And would you believe BMW found some issues? Because that's what BMW do. The bill is 4,000. Let's get it up. Oh, yeah, no, I've started by limit at 4,000. But let's just double check. £4,639.87 to sort out an engine light. Obviously, it's been to BMW. Now, they've spotted... Oh, look at... Oh, God, they're such gits. They've spotted a couple of things, and frustratingly, this car was MOT'd, and it was MOT'd in an independent MOT testing station. The guy has done it for, if not 30 years, it's 40. He knows what he's looking at, and he also knows that the cars he's inspecting for us and testing are on sale to the general public. So, if anything, he's erring on the side of caution with what he does. So, turbo wastegate, pressure accumulators, fault, investigate engine management light, 1,000 quid. Replace pressure converter for turbochargers, pressure converters for exhaust. That was all part of that 1,000 quid. Front diff's leaking, apparently. It's probably got a slight misting of oil on it, but that'll need a front diff, won't it? So it needs drive shafts. Some of this stuff I don't even know. It needs a wishbone at the front. It needs a rear prop shaft flexi. That's 500 quid. It was clunking and knocking when driving into the workshop. It didn't clunk and knock once when we had it in. They just... So parts are 2,000 quid and labour is 1,800 quid, and then there's VAT on top at 780 quid. So that is where we are with that bloody X6. Now, the guy, to be fair to him, has been fairly reasonable about it. I've said, look, let's book it into a specialist and get someone who actually has a reputation to think about and knows what they're looking at. And I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to put it right, but give me a chance here to not have my pants down. Anyway, so we booked into a specialist who can't get it in for 2 weeks. So that's her at the moment. So I'm trying to find another specialist. Now, the place I booked it into, I've never used before. However, I was trying to sort out an issue with the BMW 440 a couple of years ago, and I rung them about the issue, and they were really, really helpful. Really helpful. And I thought, I owe them one. So they've got this job. So that's going on at the moment. A little part of me's thinking, do I take his Porsche into Porsche and have a bumper-to-bumper inspection done? Because in my head, If that's the rational thing to do on a 10-year-old car, then maybe I should be doing the same. And then I could send him an invoice for £4,639 and we'll just call it quits. Anyway, very frustrating. So that's a couple of the issues. The next one, and I'm genuinely questioning my sanity in this job. The next issue is we sold a Porsche Panamera. 2009 car, full Porsche service history, really nice thing. I test drove it, was absolutely spot on. Customer drove it from Hull to us, turned up, no lights on, everything fine. We had it in here, absolutely no issues. Car got MOT'd, car got sold, absolutely fine. Guy part exchanged a BMW 420d xDrive. When he part exchanged it, like I do with every car, anything wrong with it, any issues? No, it's fine, not a problem. We had a quick walk around, inspected it, looked okay, stank of weed. Other than that, it's an all right car. Had a quick look underneath it, nothing obvious. Gave him £8,400 for the car. He's now got an issue with his Porsche, obviously. It looks like there's a wiring issue with the car. So we've booked it in with a specialist. The specialist, unfortunately, for this guy is too far away from him, so he wants to book it into a local specialist. So we now booked it into a local Porsche specialist to him, which is, there's only 20-mile difference between the two, but anyway, apparently it's easier for him, so we've got it booked in. That's happening. In the meantime, his BMW 420 has oil all over my showroom floor. We've looked underneath it, taken it into the car garage a couple of doors up from us, and it requires a new sump. That is normally not a massive problem. However, with this car being an xDrive, it's going to have to go to a specialist because it is a gearbox out job to do the sump. Me thinks he knew this. Me can't prove it. Me pay bill. Me also pay bill for Porsche. Me also fix RX-6 and pay bill for Porsche Cayenne and X6M. Robbie pays all bills. And at the minute, I'm just starting to get a little bit annoyed with it because the guy who sold the Porsche to me, let's face it, for an engine light to come on, when you drive it off your driveway, he knew. He knew. But he's probably thinking about the same with the X6, but I drove it all the way. Anyway, the BMW 420 guy, he knew. There will have been oil on his driveway. He knew. Oh, God. Who's coming up here? Let's get the door. Here's another invoice. So, I don't know, I'm sorry for ranting, and there's so many exciting things to show you that goes on in this dealership, but at the moment it just feels like it is bam, 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 problem, problem, problem. So anyway, the good news is today we've got another car sold. We've got a Porsche Macan that's going out, and the guy is part exchanging a Porsche Cayman that he was, when we were doing the deal, he was absolutely adamant that he'd been offered £2,000 more than I was offering for that car, and there was no way he's going to sell it. Anyways, eventually sold it to me for the price I'd offered him for that car. So, I mean, why did you just stop lying? So, yeah, all sorts going on. I'm a bit knackered. I've got this house sale bloody thing to deal with at the moment. I need to sell my flat. If you want to buy a flat near Leeds, beautiful, let me know. Wouldn't make a great rental property because I need too much money for it. So anyway, so got all that going on, but that's a little bit of an update. Good news is this week I've been invited onto a podcast, so that's coming soon. In fact, actually, if you've come to this channel on the back of that podcast, then that works, doesn't it? So I'm on with a couple of really decent blokes, Joe and James. They own a couple of car dealerships. We're all kind of at different points as to what we do. So James at Chops Garage deals in sort of the more, shall we say, cheaper end of the market. There's no other way of doing it, and he's not too proud to say that. So he deals with cars at like sort of 1,500 quid to £2,000. And you know what it is? James, I think you've got the business model right because you are, as a percentage, doing way more profit than most people are in this game. I think that's a sweet spot in the market. Then we've got Joe. Joe used to be a plumber. Joe's at Shifting Metal. He's got a massive YouTube following. I've been watching him for a while now. Really nice bloke. He is wanting to go into the performance and prestige mark, which is what we do here as a rule. And hopefully on Thursday, I'm going to talk him out of it. Oh dear, it's madness. There are reasons why I'm in this market, and I'll explain a bit on that podcast, but I'm going to explain a bit more in detail on this channel as well. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed my rant. I'm sorry it's a bit of a negative one. You get a little bit down sometimes in this job, and hopefully things will start picking up. We've got some really nice cars and with some really exciting margins. So if we get some cars sold, we're going to be on for a couple of really good months, which I desperately need at the moment for personal reasons to get this deal across the lines. It's all really exciting, isn't it? I am shattered. It's Monday. We close on a Monday, which means I can sit in the office and deal with all of this crap. Anyway, hopefully, I'll keep you posted on the 420. We'll do a video on that from start to finish. That's coming next.